Ooh, look, Cody, a
No!
shortcut.
No, that's the Rick and Morty! Happy Wheels was a popular Flash game released in 2010. No, wait, do I need to explain this? Oh, thank God for that. I, like most people who were too young to have unrestricted internet access in school, have many fond memories of Happy Wheels. I haven't played the game in a long time, but it took up so many hours of my life when I was a kid and brought me a lot of joy, even when my computer was struggling to handle the most basic of tasks. If I asked that old box to go for a spikeful stage, there was a very real chance of me dying in a house fire. This game also just generally takes me back to a much simpler time in my life. I know it's easy for my generation to look back on the early to mid 2010s with rose-tinted glasses, and I definitely should not have been using YouTube around this time, but my nostalgia towards this point in time in my life and this era of YouTube are intrinsically linked with this game. Sometimes I spend a few hours rewatching Jacksepticeye's old Happy Wheels videos just to feel something.
Taste that lovely rainbow, son! Drink it in!
On that note, even if you've never played Happy Wheels, there's a decent chance you saw the game all over YouTube at the time. If you were a gaming channel and you didn't record yourself playing Happy Wheels at least once around this time, you were just a fucking schmuck, honestly. Like, this was pre-adpocalypse YouTube. Can you even fathom how much money is on the table here? Anyway, I somehow spent more time watching my favorite YouTubers play Happy Wheels than I did actually playing the game myself. Like, I had a problem. And so did millions of others, as the game was absurdly popular. And with this level of popularity comes even more opportunity. In 2015, it was announced that Happy Wheels would receive its own official animated series, courtesy of everyone's favorite punching bag in the history of YouTube, Machinima. I think there's a solid chance people know what happened with Machinima by now, and while they were still somewhat controversial at the time, this seemed like a perfect fit. People loved Machinimas, myself included, and Happy Wheels getting its own animated series by the company originally made as a hub for that kind of content seemed like the best case scenario. Moreover, it was interesting that this was an official Happy Wheels series endorsed by the creator of the original game, unlike a lot of Machinima productions. There's no anecdote here, I just thought that was interesting. Now, I wouldn't blame you if this is your first time hearing about this, because frankly, this announcement and the series itself completely flew under the radar despite Happy Wheels' dominant popularity on YouTube at the time. It's not like there was no coverage of it. There are articles by IGN and TubeFilter. Jesus Christ, TubeFilter, that's a blast from the past. Does anyone remember TubeFilter? Anyway, there were still reputable news outlets talking about the announcement, and there was a brief period on Twitter in November 2016 where a handful of people mentioned it. But strangely, no one really seemed to care about such a popular game getting an animated series by goddamn Machinima. In fact, while I was doing research for this video, I found out that, fucking hilariously, the release of Happy Wheels the series was almost immediately overshadowed by the hype and release of the finale to Jacksepticeye's Happy Wheels Let's Play series that he live streamed on YouTube roughly 10 days after Happy Wheels the series premiered. Outmogged by a YouTuber. And honestly, I don't think the solution to this problem was to give the series better marketing, because even if you had the largest marketing budget in the world, you were not convincing anyone to watch something on Go90. Perhaps the strangest decision when it came to Happy Wheels the series, and arguably what killed the show before it even premiered, was the decision to have it stream exclusively on Go90, a very unpopular streaming service at the time that was launched by Verizon, and it really lacked compelling identity. The service was free to use and prioritized earning revenue via advertisements like how YouTube does it. There were no subscriptions in sight. The problem with the streaming service that was hosting its own original content that had a seemingly consumer-friendly business model was the simple fact that no one wanted to use it. Go90, for some reason, mainly tried to appeal to mobile users and millennials. Certainly an interesting and unique way of trying to carve out a niche in a market that was quickly picking up steam, but ultimately it proved to be a very misguided venture, as the platform failed to resonate with most people who were happy sticking to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, etc, etc, despite Go90 having significant investments and a decent supply of content to watch. After only a few years of availability, the service was deemed a failure and shut down in 2018 without anyone really caring. Now, why am I giving you all a history lesson about this failed streaming service? Well, because as one final f*** you to the world that neglected it, Go90 grabbed all of its original programming and dragged them all into the void along with it. And Happy Wheels the series was one of those poor, unfortunate shows. Thanks to the series being dumped onto Go90 with basically no fanfare, it attracted f*** all attention. No one ever talked about it, many people didn't even realize it existed and still don't to this day. And because of this, when the Go90 plug was pulled, the entire show, outside of the first 3 episodes being archived on YouTube, became Lost Media! I mean, how crazy is that? The fact that a show based on an IP as popular as Happy Wheels received such little attention and fanfare that very few people thought to archive the damn thing. For a good while, the remaining 6 episodes of the series were completely lost, and while over time people have been able to recover 5 of the 6 missing episodes in admittedly very shoddy quality, I do apologize for how this video looks, episode 7 remains lost to this day, and it seems like people have flat out given up the search for it, leaving it almost entirely lost. The only things we currently have on episode 7 are a handful of screenshots as well as the full script that allegedly got leaked courtesy of the voice actress for Effective Shopper, but no one has been able to find even a small clip of episode 7. Now, I'm not as big on lost media as I was a couple years back, but if you have access to episode 7 in some form or fashion, it would be greatly appreciated if you could just dump it somewhere for people to find. I want to artificially create the one piece of lost media. All joking aside though, if you do find episode 7, please let people know. This is far and away the most interesting thing about Happy Wheels the series, because it just fascinates me that something that was almost assured to be a slam dunk given the popularity of its IP got so poorly mismanaged that no one knew about it, and then it almost ended up being completely lost to time because no one was around to properly archive it. Like, the archives we currently have are in such dog shit quality, that's all we have to work with here. And the thing is, I guarantee a lot of this could have been avoided if Machinima just put the series on their YouTube channel, or even made an official YouTube channel for Happy Wheels the series. Anything would have been better than deciding to put the series on YouTube, but worse. This would have also made it far more likely for people to have archived the series in watchable quality, so f*** you Machinima for inadvertently making my video worse. We really have just spent half the video talking about the series being lost media, haven't we? Well, I'll say right now, there is a very good reason for that. Happy Wheels the series. What can I say about Happy Wheels the series?
That might help me secure Cody's love.
Closing a deal like that might look good on my resume.
Why are they using the stock gun sound like a fucking Vine boom? Okay, for starters, what do you expect from a short animated miniseries based on Happy Wheels? A game with no plot that is entirely built around clearing dangerous courses where most of the entertainment comes from the many ridiculous ways you can make your ragdoll character of choice go splat, get stabbed, and get exploded. Well, if you rightfully expected that this staggeringly little amount of substance would be one-to-one with the show, you'd be correct. Happy Wheels the series is incredibly faithful to the original game, to a fault. The visuals are pretty much identical aside from a touch more detail on characters up close. Not that it's hard to match Happy Wheels' art style, but I gotta give a video game adaptation points when I can. And when it comes to representing the series, I'd say it's about as solid as you could reasonably expect. It's full of the same outrageous, gory deaths, spiky and explosive death traps, it has the same cast of characters, and every episode just revolves around watching the characters die in darkly comical ways. If this is precisely what you wanted out of a Happy Wheels animated series, then congratulations, you have a new favorite show. But even as someone who loves Happy Wheels, the whole thing just feels kinda lazy. I'm not about to go on a rant about the show being lowbrow or that it needed a better plot. It's Happy Wheels. I don't expect perfection or masterpiece quality from Happy Wheels. Yet at the same time, it really feels like the series does the bare minimum. Each episode is bite-sized, like 3 to 5 minutes each, so it's not like it overstays its welcome or anything. You can finish the whole thing in less than half an hour. But despite this, the series gets stale and boring very fast because each episode is just the same thing but in a different setting and with slightly different deaths. I've seen Happy Wheels the series get compared to Happy Tree Friends a few times.
Copyright infringement. You can be sued and found liable for monetary damages. You could lose your food. You could lose your YouTube account.
Which in my opinion is not a very flattering comparison, but even then, I think that's a disservice to Happy Tree Friends. The whole reason Happy Tree Friends works better is because it's disguised as a children's show before getting super gory, and the deaths themselves are usually far more creative and sometimes slapstick inspired to the point that I can see the humor in them. Happy Wheels the series is just the same thing over and over. Someone blows up, someone gets impaled by spikes, the lawnmower guy runs someone over and turns them into paste. There's no shock humor because you very quickly adjust to the gory deaths as they rarely mix things up, doubly so if you played the game beforehand. There's barely any slapstick involved. The joke is just people dying over and over. Okay, look, for transparency's sake, I'll show you the only time I laughed.
Yeah, Kart shamer. We're hey!
That's it. For a game as funny as Happy Wheels, it feels like they failed to capture why the over-the-top violence was so funny. And I don't think they could have done it perfectly anyway, as a lot of the reason why relied on player input. The player making stupid mistakes and then seeing their character get shot and blown to pieces as they ragdoll all over the place. Like, I hate to dissect the frog here as if it's that deep, but there's a reason I can hop on Happy Wheels today and still have a good time, whereas the series just makes me bored. Now, it's not like there's no plot here, but it's not really worth acknowledging. After the race in the second episode, the 5 main characters of Irresponsible Dad, Effective Shopper, Wheelchair Guy, Lawnmower Man, and Segway Guy form a safety group called Deafs. Wait, that's funny because with their goal being to go around the town of Happy Wheels and try to enforce safety regulations and stop people from dying as often, because the entire town is filled with inconveniently placed death traps courtesy of the town's king. Yes, they have a king, just roll with it. And honestly, I think that's a neat premise, having these 5 dipshits roam around the town trying to enforce safety only for people to keep dying in ridiculous ways around them. The problem is the premise barely feels relevant. They rarely do anything, they just go somewhere and say,
let's split up and spread some safety.
And people just keep dying around them with or without their involvement. That's the main joke and it gets old immediately. The only other jokes are courtesy of the characters saying stupid shit that fails to register as comedy and just relies on the characters' archetypes. Irresponsible Dad is an irresponsible dad. Effective Shopper is fat. Wheelchair Guy is some crazy homeless man. Lawnmower Man just runs people over with his lawnmower all the time. Like I swear the Lawnmower Man has the highest body count in the whole show. And Segway Guy is just some business guy who apparently wrote his own book that he references sometimes, and sometimes he just reads other books, I guess.
Stolen? Oh no!
Someday, we'll laugh at this, and I feel for you.
Hello?
That's not funny!
Oh yeah, and if you hadn't noticed, the animation is not very good. Like, visually, the art style is just the game style, but better, but the actual movement is just ew. There's so much more they could have done with this show, not in terms of plot, again, it's Happy Wheels, but I mean comedically. Even if the gore gets old after a while, you only have to play Happy Wheels and its many community created maps for like 15 minutes to see the potential here. And hell, they don't have to flesh any of the characters out or anything, but you could have still told some funny jokes through dialogue. The series feels like it's a low effort cash grab that does the bare minimum to be considered a faithful adaptation, but never goes beyond that basic level. Also, like, what cash did they grab exactly? As a Happy Wheels series that succeeds on some level, and I can see why some people like it, but there's just a lot of missed potential here. If I'm ever in a Happy Wheels mood in the future, I'm just gonna stick to the game itself and not the series that literally got lost because no one cared about it. If there's one thing I'm grateful for, it's that I finally got to talk about Happy Wheels on this channel and reminisce about the good old days. God. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Yakuza Kiwami free, baby! RGG, I'll buy your entire stock once you get the sex pest out the game. Like, come the fuck on, guys. Really? Hashtag remove Kagawa, signed a petition.